But, I figured, what the heck? Sky, ball's yours.
Yeah, you guys didn't put anything in the pre-meeting discussion notes, so there's really nothing to talk about aside from that. But basically, there are two big things on the docket, and that is AJ Man and myself have been discussing the use of non-voice text channels, and like for those text channels for those people that can't necessarily talk, like they have their mic disabled for various reasons, so that they can have somewhere dedicated to talk, so that way they're not spamming channels like the Hangout and the Lounge. And in that same vein, that there should be game-specific text channels, like a lot of the Don't Starve Together people have been putting a lot of stuff inside the games channel, which is great and all. That's totally what it's meant for. But he thinks that it's in that same vein of spam reduction that it might be a good idea to have a text-only chat for that, like a subset of games, so to speak. And the way that it would not clog up this listing of channels that we have here is by making it only visible to those who have the role, which I think is personally great, because that would mean that you'd have to have one of the game roles, and that means you use the bot, which is like fantastic. Now, that's all well and good. I'll bring that back up in just a second. But the other thing is that version 17 of Fishsticks is finally here, and it's live at the moment, and it's glorious and awesome. And I'm going to write some big old giant long post about what everything happened. And yes, and there's just so much stuff in it that it's going to take most of the meeting at all just to talk about it. So I'm probably just going to write it up. And if you have any questions, you can just ask after that, post, DM, whatever. All right. But basically, what I want to know is, how does the community feel about these non-voice or game-specific channels that we have? And AG Man's here. He's got the idea alongside me. But just like I want to get the feel, like I want to get the vibe for about what we think about this. Okay, so just keep in mind that if these channels do go into existence, and it looks like they are at the moment, this is that when we implement them, you can only see them when you have that role, and so that means you're going to have to do a little bit of fish sticks finagling. And concerning fish sticks finagling at the moment, since version 17 is live, you're going to see a lot of weird stuff across the next week or so. And one of those is that I am completely removing everybody's game roles for a very specific reason. Part of the game rules system operates based on who's been assigned to it after the fact, and there's a lot of records being based off of who has a role. And in order to properly assign those roles, Fishsticks has to recalibrate, as a general blanket term. And so what I'm doing at the moment, and probably into tomorrow if I don't finish it tonight, is just removing everybody's game roles. And if you can do that yourself, or if you can't do that, you can like talk to somebody and have them remove it. But I'm going through the members list and doing that myself. And basically what you'll need to do is run role, join whatever the role was you had, or the one of the roles you want to join. And what that does is obviously it assigns you the role, but it also assigns it in terms of Fishsticks, so that Fishsticks knows who's part of what. Like, you can generate those reports that I promised at the beginning of version 16, which was like the stupid amount of months ago. And then everybody was just like, oh, that'll be great. So that way we don't have to like keep all these giant roles, and you'll have reports and everything. It'll be a fantastic. But basically, that's one of the biggest caveats to this game channels thing. And AG Man has a good point here, is that there's going to be a role for all chat channels that I'm going to make that is not considered a game role. It'll be outside of Fishstick. And I mean, we can collaborate. That bystander is a good idea. I personally like Busybody. But I mean, it's up to you. But if you guys are all right with this, I think I'll go ahead and carry this out. And I keep a spreadsheet of all the Discord channels, so they're in tune. Everybody knows what the channel's permissions are and that kind of thing.
I'd just like to interject real quickly that This is partially for a new syncing and a new calibration of Fishsticks so that Fishsticks is completely up on all the roles. But it's also, if you think, kind of a house cleaning measure. You may have added yourself to a role that's almost not in use anymore. So starting from scratch, we'll only have what we want right now. Everything will be new. All the clutter will be gone. If Sky sees roles that are not being re-added, he can just get rid of those roles, etc. So it's a cleaning and ordering thing, not just. Also, the second thing I wanted to mention, originally Sky Ranger asked the rest of the leaders if he should remove these roles and add them to people himself. Like this would take him many, many hours, or just blank them all out and have you guys add your own role. And we told him leave it up to the community to add their own roles for just that reason, so we can clean up the clutter and people can only get what they want, that kind of stuff. And also to save Sky Ranger trouble, he's been working on 17 for months. There's no reason for him to work on another couple months. So just wanted to interject those two things.
Yeah, and he's all of those are completely valid points. But yeah, there have been, if you haven't been following version 17, when I first proposed it, I proposed that we move away from internal storage, and what that means is that a lot of what Fishsticks was storing, all the extra data, all the ID, who was assigned to what, no, leave debater alone. Anything that's that weird sort of tan color, all those except for creative. Everything was stored in JSON. And so, like, who was assigned to what, how many times somebody had been vouched for, who had voted for what, how many times that role had been voted for, everything was done in a static file. And what that means is the more and more people that we get, the more and more people who start using game roles means that the more and more access and file rights are going into that static file. And what I've done is that version 17 is now online. It's in the cloud. It's in an area that I'm calling Fishsticks Online, otherwise known as FSO. And what that means is that now we don't have a chance of corruption, like file corruption. So Fishsticks won't eat himself from the inside out and just explode or whatever. But it also means that you have much more control, or, well, I shouldn't say necessarily control, but much more visibility to what you've been doing. Fishsticks keeps a track record of how many commands that you've executed, how many passive commands you've executed, how many suggestions you've posted, what kind of suggestions they were. And later on, this opens up many, many, many more doors. For example, a lot of you know about the music player system that is at the broke. It's just busted right now, but it'll be fixed. But you'll eventually be able to like build playlists, like custom music playlists. Like you'll be able to have songs that you really like, and you'll be able to share them with friends. But that'll all be stored online in Fishsticks cloud systems. That way, if something happens to Fishsticks on the interior end, none of that is like instantly lost. It's stored in the cloud where everybody can access it, whatever. And none of this is explicit to, or especially in Discord. Some of this is now on his new dashboard. Version 17 now has an online dashboard that you can log into, and you can see all this information. You'll be able to change all that information if you want, reset your stats, whatever, and create these custom playlists online in an online dashboard that is like really nice looking, because I spent like a solid 2 months making it look gorgeous.
Is it operational yet, though?
It is operational at the bare minimum. You can change your username and password, and you can see some of your statistics. There is much more that will be done in a separate project. I don't consider the online dashboard to be a part of any major Fishsticks build. I consider that to be its own sort of thing. So version 18 will be fixing the music player, namely, but a lot of other bug fixes, but it won't have anything to do with the dashboard. All the dashboard stuff is kept like in a different project, which you could also see in his GitHub. And all like I said earlier, all of this mess that I'm not going to go too in depth because there's just so much of will be in a blog post that I make, my development blog. that will have all this information in detail, some of which is already on the wiki, which you can find through the links command. But just as an FYI, if you see it, that's the links command. This is the development blog. And all that mess goes in there. So if you don't pay attention to fish sticks, then don't look at it. I don't really care. But if you want to be in the know, that's where to do it. So right now, I'm feeling that all this mess is probably a lot thrown at you. So what questions do you have at this specific moment, if any?
Farmer Gal was asking, how do you want us to remove and add the role, or remove the roles? Just remove.
In the future or right now?
Right now. Like if we
Right
were all
now,
in channel
Fish
between
Sticks
our
doesn't know that anybody has anything. So, to my knowledge, how you remove roles from yourself or add roles to yourself, which
So-
I don't want you to add roles.
Right.
But you can remove them by right-clicking on your name, like say
Okay.
in the voice channel, and
That won't
hover
bring it.
over roles, and it'll be in there, and you just uncheck whatever you have. The only one that you don't want to uncheck that is that tan color is creative if you have it.
Yeah,
That
and-
one's not a game role.
and obviously leave our staff and member and recognized.
Yeah,
the functional
for those of you that have it.
Yeah.
So if you have any other questions, yeah, anything that's tan colored. The nod is not tan.
So when are you going to add them back? Or when when can we add them back?
Once, actually, probably right after you remove it.
And shall we add
And-
them back the fish sticks way?
Yes.
Okay.
Eventually, Fish Sticks will yell at you if you add a game role without the command method, because that's going to weird things out.
Okay.
So what you want to do is either this. That's how that works. And I mean, Neo, we can change that.
So we can just add our roles back right now.
Yes, assuming that you don't have the role already added to you, then it gets kind of weird. But just make sure that you have, like, preferably you remove all the game roles that you currently have before adding them back.
Mhm.
Because that just makes things much nicer.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of what you're seeing at the moment, is you're processing a lot of what would be considered JSON static file reads and writes. Everybody's joining a role at the moment. That would be a new write to that file. You'd see, bam, Silver Houdini's joined a role. Bam, Kess has joined a role. And all this is happening in a few seconds. And what that does is it creates potential for corruption. And that's what version 17 moved away from. On top of that, the same thing can happen for a database when you pump a whole bunch of like information in a packet at one time. Connection can't handle all that. So version 17 has been built in a way that like optimizes those pump throughs, like those SQL commands, so that everything is done in a nice, orderly fashion. Which question?
I can see that I typed in the command, but I can't see that anybody else typed in the command. Is that normal?
What do you mean?
Here, I'll screenshot it.
When you make the command, it only lasts for a few seconds before the bot
Right.
destroys.
I see this on my screen.
That's called a
Like-
ghost. It's not actually
Why?
there.
Okay, so nobody else can see that? Because I,
That's
was gonna
correct.
say, I can't see Kessa's or anything.
That's
That's
the
normal.
most active command messages that you post are going to get deleted. Like that one gets deleted. It's for spam protection and everything. But
The bot very briefly acknowledges your command and then it just disappears.
yes.
But I can still see it, is my point.
Well, yeah, it's called a ghost command. It's not actually there. So if you went to your message, like wherever that little ... menu at the far right, to
Yeah.
delete it, you can't actually delete it because it's not there. It's not actually there. If you reload Discord, it'll go away if it really
Oh.
bothers you.
No, I wanted to make sure it wasn't some sort of weird glitch.
Yeah, it's a client thing.
Oh,
It's generally, I think it's to cut down on clutter and stuff too, right?
Yes, it is. It's a spam prevention thing.
oh, it makes sense.
Yeah. But you should. All of these commands should be case neutral. All these commands should accept both the name and the game. And if you don't, I need to know about it right now because I need to go and fix that. Even though
Nope.
me and the
I'm-
rest of the bot tester team put it through its paces fairly rigorously.
I can see everybody joining. That's about it.
And then they
That's
disappear. Right?
just about that's just about everything that you should be able.
The only ones that stay persistent are the ones you misspell or you didn't use the right.
I just did that.
Oh, and that's one other like quality of life thing. He doesn't Fishsticks doesn't yell at you quite the same way anymore. If you get a command wrong, he'll try to be a little more informative about what it was that you got wrong. But
So
in terms of just general commands, like if you do exclamation point roll, or I mean, not necessarily the rolls are recommended, but if you do something like exclamation point, happy and you know it, clap your hands. That's not actually a command. So he's not going to say, what was it? You trying to thonk me? Yeah, he doesn't do that anymore. He goes, I don't know that. And if you get multiple commands wrong in a row, he'll start saying different things as you keep getting worse.
Sky Rangers and Fish Sticks. Ah. Wow.
And there's quite a few levels. But that was inspired after the Maddie B mode was introduced. And since that was kind of gone out of effect, then I decided to add this.
You need to enunciate. Definitely more sensitive. Gonna have to start smacking you with some respect point deductions.
Oh, I must have paused.
What's the role for bot testers?
Should just be bot tester. Either that or fish stick.
Okay, there we go. Fish sticks didn't seem to be working, but bot tester certainly did.
Yeah, and see what all of you that executed one of those role commands has done is you've now synced up the role between you and fish sticks. And now that you've done that, when you want to remove a command or a role, you want to use the same command you just executed, except change join with leave.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll do the same thing. And later on, Fishsticks will yell at for that too if you don't do it the right way.
Will it break him if we do it the other way? The
it doesn't break him necessarily, but what it does is it desyncs you from FSO. So you might like log into the dashboard, and you'll see that you still have Heroes or Stormwatcher and PUBG when you don't actually have those roles in Discord.
Mm.
Executing the command is that actual sync at the time that happens. And before I released version 17, all the tables except for game roles were truncated, meaning they're completely empty. So all of you that have executed commands now have a track record of Fishsticks. You can see just how many commands you've executed, how many you failed, how many passives you executed, that kind of thing.
Are you gonna start grading us?
No.
Okay, just checking.
Fishsticks does not grade you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sky is not liking that one.
Which one? Command is called break, global. Break. Moviegoer.
Oh, he's not in voice. He's just trolling from the sides.
Let's see. What does the system log say about?
I was able to use movie night, Dini.
Okay.
What is Neo trying to do? Now I'm curious.
That is the break.
Oh,
Break is both a passive and. But yeah, I know talking about fish sticks probably takes up most of the meeting. So I'm gonna write up that post instead of going over everything that I did because we'd be here for a couple hours. Because this is like 7 months of work.
thank you.
Thank you,
Sky, I
Sky.
thought you said it wasn't case sensitive.
It shouldn't be.
Okay, well, it didn't like that again.
Okay, well maybe it doesn't like you.
Just be sure and enunciate.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it does
Um,
not like moviegoer.
Try night.
Alrighty, at this time, I'm
Nope.
going to take the floor from Sky.
That's fine.
And does anybody have any open meeting business they'd like to discuss this evening?
Just remind people, especially newer people, to turn off the shared server DMs. We have new people coming in every couple of days, and we're trying to be as open as we can. As soon as they prove they're not, really vicious trolls, okay, fine, they're in. They have a certain amount of access to the server, and they can't really hurt anybody as long as you have your shared server DMs turned off. So make sure you do that.
Alrighty, anybody else have any open meeting business this evening? Anything at all? Suggestions, thoughts, complaints? Perhaps you have a problem with my radio voice. Alrighty, any of our leaders have anything they want to share? Alrighty, so here's the pivotal question, folks. Do the leaders go at this time and do the closed session and just leave everyone to their own devices, or would you guys like to hear more about fish sticks before this open meeting?
I'm not gonna spend like 3 hours working on tech support, by the way.
Well, in that case, I guess we'll call the open meeting for this week officially closed. If everybody will